Hello, Tabitha. Thank you so much for joining us today on the East Coast Fashion Summit. We're so happy you could make it.
Thank you for having me, Cindy. I'm really excited to be here and to be a part of this. I believe that it's just the beginning of something wonderful for Atlantic Canada, and I'm very proud of you and Robbie for taking this initiative.
Well, thank you so much. Let's just dive in. Tell us, how long have you been in the fashion industry, and how did you get started?
Well, that's a question that's kind of has a little bit of a story, so I'll try to keep it short, but I can tell you that I studied fashion arts at Holland College. And after after graduating, I was hired by a manufacturing company out of Stellarton, Nova Scotia, that manufactures uniforms. And I worked for them for 6 years as their designer and plant engineer. And then I left that company to move. I moved away, and when I came back to Nova Scotia, I worked for a sportswear company. At that time, it was called Elite Sportswear, and it was in Dartmouth. And it was also a family-run business. It was a bit smaller, so I learned different parts of the business in manufacturing, which was actually great. And they made team sportswear, basketball uniforms, mountain leather jackets. So I went from uniforms, so industrial wear, from your Nova Scotia Power overalls to your OR greens to golf wear and uniforms, basketball and that sort of thing. And then I had a family, and I stayed always dabbling in the creative side of things, but I pulled back and I would do a little bit of consulting at times. But the priority was raising my children, and I have 2 children. And then recently, I dove headfirst into this journey that I'm on now in life. So, you can start out with a great plan when you're younger, but as we know, it evolves over time, and all these things kind of prepare you. I mean, when I look back, all these experiences have prepared me for where I am today. So I registered TABITHA Co. in February of 2018, and here I am talking
to you.
you.
Awesome. We're so proud of you. You've accomplished
Thank you.
much in your career in such a short time. So
Thank you.
where are you based out of now?
So that's an interesting question too, and comes with a really neat story. So just prior to COVID, I bought a 18th century stone house in the town of Pictou, Nova Scotia, that has a population of 3,000 people. It's known as the birthplace of New Scotland. And from what I can see, the home was either built in 1929 or 1829 or 1831. So documents are more showing 1831. And it has a commercial space in the building, and I live in the apartment above. And I have a working studio at the back. So the commercial space is not renovated. It was a bustling, it was called the Stone House Cafe and Pizzeria. And then after that, a private resident, an individual bought it and made it into her private residence, and the commercial space was not utilized. So the plan prior to COVID was to make this into a space for it to very inviting and to create an experience for people. So that's in Park, but it's not been aborted in that sense. It's going to go forward. It's just going to take a little bit of time. So that's where I'm currently located, and I would love for people to come visit.
Yay, that's awesome. So aside from all of your beautiful design work and your maker work, what tasks and responsibilities do you have on your plate? Like anything, volunteer work, social groups, what else keeps Tabitha busy?
Yeah, so prior to starting my business a few years ago, I was always heavily involved in community. I was on many committees and boards and volunteered with my children's schools heavily. And then when I started this journey, I had to park all that. And it was I had devoted a lot of time to volunteering and volunteerism, which I fully believe in, and in community. But this has taken an enormous amount of my time. And it's really important during that fledgling state of a business that you really are mindful and then give it, 100%. But also in there, I have family, I have my children, and I have myself to take care of. And in order for the business to be successful, I do have to make time for myself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can tell you that recently, and it all happened organically through social media, um, through a post. I've been working with an international organization called Surge for Water, and they work with communities that they invest in communities with safe water, sanitation, and hygiene solutions. And it's to help and end the cycle of poverty. So there's actually an event happening on the 17th, and I encourage everyone to check it out. It's their handle for Instagram is at Surge for Water. They also have an initiative where it's called Period Poverty, which is something I didn't even realize it wasn't even on my radar, and it's huge. It's everywhere. So that is kind of something I've been working on. And then there's always little things that pop up in my community that I do kind of secretly. And I just,
I know.
yeah,
I know you.
yeah. So, but there'll be things and the right fit will come along, and I'm certainly open to supporting other things along the way. And I do, but something that I'm doing on a full-time basis in a volunteering capacity, no, not right now. It's my focus is building the business and focusing on my family and myself.
Yeah, for those of us that are watching that aren't entrepreneurs, it's such a full-time job. It's like raising a baby. If you don't feed it and watch it, it will not live. So you have to be so hands-on, especially in the first few years.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe it, Cindy. Thank you.
With child. So
Yeah. Yeah.
what made you choose leather as your creative medium? It's so cool.
Thank you. So I never used leather in school, but I was always drawn to it. And I think a lot of us are drawn to it. If you go into a store like Roots or Fossil, the smell of leather just draws you in. It's kind of like being a child in a candy store and you smell all that sugar. And you want to touch it and feel it. And it's very tactile. And so it's also a natural product. And so that was another thing for me that drew me to it. And until our global family makes a huge pivot in our diet, this is a byproduct that can end up, and most times does end up in the landfill and isn't utilized properly. So I feel that if I can make a beautiful bag, and that's the one thing that came from that animal's life that was sacrificed to feed us, then I've done something wonderful. And leather it's durable. It's been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. And so that was the reasoning behind the choice. And also that it intrigued me and I wanted to work with it. So
yeah, so when you buy a Tabitha Co bag, it's going to last you a long time. It's a forever piece.
It's a forever piece. Yeah. And I think there's I think you have to look at it like it's an investment and it's something that has to feel right. And you can look at it as like, think about your grandparents or your great grandparents, and they only had these few beautiful items that they really treasured, and they wore them on special occasions, and they were passed down. It's like a family heirloom piece, kind of think of it like that.
I hope fashion goes more that way, actually, that we think about keeping pieces instead of being so disposable as an industry.
Yeah, me too, Cindy.
And this is, I know, mindfully made is so important to you. And we're discussing, like, do you think the future of fashion will be heading in that direction?
I think it is now. Yeah, it's already there. And we just may not be feeling it here yet where we are located, but there's definitely been a shift over the last few years. And I mean, I go back to the Reina Plaza that collapsed in 2013 and we all just kind of stopped and paused, right?
Mhm.
because it's making us think about, okay, so the shirt I have on today, where was it made?
Mhm.
Yeah, who made it? Do I know who that person was? So I can say for me, mindfully made means for my company and who I am is that I have control over that. Right now, I am the maker, the bookkeeper, but I'm like, yeah, this hat today, and
Yeah.
um, but so I think that that mindfully made is making, asking those questions and doing your very best. And you may not have it all figured out right away, but and as a consumer, doing your homework. And sometimes things aren't just, they're just not affordable and you have to make choices, but that's okay. Just, every little bit counts. And I think if we all make those slight little changes over time and we keep working towards it, um, our planet and our global family will be better for it, and in the future for our children and so forth. So the mindfully made is asking the right questions on who made your bag and who made your cape,
Yeah.
um, and where did those raw goods come from? And that is really a tricky question. And I know where my zippers come from, and I know where my thread comes from, and I know where my leather comes from, but there are still questions, because you can ask those questions to a supplier, but then that supplier may not be able to give you all those answers. So there's many layers to that, the question that you asked about mindfully made. But there's a huge shift, and consumers are asking the questions now even more, and they want that story too. Sorry about that. Yeah, so that is, yeah, there's a huge shift, and it's already happened, and it's with COVID, I think it's highlighting it even more so.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's about supporting local, your community. And as communities, I look at it as a community as an ecosystem, supporting one another. And then we look at it as our province and supporting one another. And now with you doing this East Coast Fashion Summit, as we're supporting each other on the East Coast and highlighting all the wonderful things that we do.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. When we know better, we must do better.
that's right.
Yeah. So, I know you touched on this a bit, but how do you source these beautiful materials? Is there a special technique that you've discovered to find the best leathers? And
Yeah, so that's still a work in progress. I have a supplier through my mentor. So I was mentored by a gentleman who's now 86, and he
oh,
lives in Guysborough County. And I actually traveled to his home for 10 months and apprenticed under him. And so he connected me with all the people that he's met along his journey. And so I actually have a supplier in Atlantic Canada that is an older gentleman, and he is very well versed in this in leather. And so we have long conversations, and when I need something or I'm asking, where can he goes looking for me. So I'm very fortunate that he is here in Atlantic Canada, and that I do have this resource. But it is getting harder now with the way things are. It's not as easy to obtain some of those things that you want, and it takes longer. So we have to have patience.
yes, patience is tough.
Yeah.
Really great. A mentor is such an amazing resource. It's something that people don't often think of, but it's a very amazing resource. That's really great. That's good advice. Get a mentor.
Yeah, it is. And I think we can all be mentors. So as we journey and the experiences we've had, and this is going to share some of my knowledge, but I am open. If someone is trying their hand at leather and they want to reach out to me because they're not sure which way to go, or if they're looking for something particular, or they're not sure how to a technique, I'm all about sharing.
Yeah.
So we have to support one another, and to be sustainable within our province and the Maritimes in our country and so forth. And so helping each other, I think, and having that side of empathy and sharing is so important, more so than ever now. So, anyone watching this that is thinking about working with leather, I'm always open to a conversation. and I will share whatever I know.
That's fantastic. You're so kind.
Thank you, Cindy. I'm just being me.
Can you give us a sense of the personalities of some of your clients? What are they interested in, and what draws them to your work?
So my clients, yeah, they're all very different
Yeah.
and unique, as we all are as individuals. But one of the things I think that stands out, that seems to be a common denominator, is that it's about my story,
Yes.
and that I'm making the bags. So it's going back to what we just talked about. It's that, they're supporting a local maker in the Maritimes, and my story is part of that. It's a package, right? And I really feel, so my bags aren't for everyone, and that's okay. But the clients that I do have, I think it is about supporting someone local, a woman in business, and yeah, I think that's the common denominator right there.
That makes a lot of sense. um, how do you stay inspired as a creator? You're always creating new things, but I guess sometimes we lose a little spark and we can't find inspiration. So where do you go to when you kind of lose that spark and you want to find a little inspiration?
So my outlet is running.
Yeah.
I run a lot. And during COVID, I've run a lot. But when I run, I love to be in the woods, in nature. And it's when I do a lot of thinking and planning. And then I come back and I make notes. But so my surroundings, the environment that I'm in inspires me. My clients is what really inspires me too, because they'll come to me with ideas or make suggestions, or I'll hear little, things that worked and didn't work. And I think, and then taking some of the things I'm thinking about and incorporating those. And, yes, my business it's still in the fledgling state. And I say to people now, because they'll ask me about COVID, how are you doing? And well, if I was making edible bags, it would be great. But I'm struggling just like everyone, but I'm doing okay. But we're all trying to find our way through this new time. And I think I think the thing is that it's listening to our clients, because without them, I can have this wonderful idea, make these beautiful bags. But if people don't buy them, edible or not, I don't have a business. So it's really listening to our clients, and then taking those ideas that we've come up with and seeing how they work around the client's needs, and being open to that.
Yeah, that's really great. So mindfully made, mindfully designed, and you really do care.
I do care.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do care.
And what do you want your pieces to mean to someone when they make that purchase?
Well, I go back to something that I said there earlier. It's an investment, and it also has to feel right. And so the designs that I create may not be necessarily for everyone, and that's okay. But I also do some bespoke work in there and try to tailor the bags to suit the client's needs. It's really about that investment and the longevity, and it being that heirloom piece, going back to that, having something that will last, and people can have, individuals and clients can have for a long time. So I don't look at it as a seasonal thing.
Right.
I look at it as a long-term investment. So I've never really looked at the fashion industry as seasonal. I look at it as, my pieces aren't, when I come up with a new design, it's to be timeless. Maybe there's some new colors in there that flow with seasons, but I feel that where we were before, we were all running too fast.
Yeah.
And that's also part of the consumerism. and coming out with new designs and new seasons, and it's lovely. It certainly is, but I think that we have to be more mindful about how we do that, for our planet and for humanity. And yeah, so looking at it from an investment perspective and longevity and an heirloom piece makes more sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And your classic designs would be good 100 years ago, and they'll be good 100 years from now. They're so classic. Like, so
Thank you.
I get that. That's going to be TABITHA Co is going to be around for a long time.
How?
So I know you've already talked about this. COVID-19 has been really fun, huh?
Woo!
We're all
Oh, you just,
but I know you mentioned that you're also on the I Struggle To list. So
oh yeah.
what kind of pivots have you had to make, and how has it kind of changed the way you work day to day?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, one of the things we've lost with this consumerism rat race, that we've all been living in and just kind of going. COVID has slowed us down, and we've all had time to reflect and find out what's important in our lives, whether it's, being with family more, or realizing it's okay to work from home. And, the fact that I have on a pair of sweatpants below this beautiful sweater,
Oh, wait,
and it's so
fuzzy slippers?
totally, right? Yeah. So, oh, my hair looks great, my sweater, but below the, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's totally okay. And I think that realizing that how things were done before, it's okay that we shift, and it's great. Change is wonderful. And how I've pivoted, I think the biggest thing we have to do when we've lost this along the way is that we are in a service industry. It's just a different type. And we have been impacted significantly, but how do we pivot to help our clients? How do we get to them? So for me, it's about creating a more personalized experience. So if I need a client to come to me personally, we set up a personal appointment. Maybe it's a virtual appointment in a consult, right? And maybe I go to them. So I think it's real, and listening to our clients. What are they comfortable with? What are they not comfortable with? And at the end of the day, without them, our businesses, won't survive. So it's really about how do we work to make sure that they feel safe, and that we're meeting their needs. And so for me, that's what it's about, pivoting. Yes, I'm online, and I had done that early on anyhow. It was very important to me when establishing my company, but there's another layer to that. It's great if I'm online, but how do I still connect with my clients? So sending them an email, sending them a text.
Yeah.
How's your day? You're awesome. I think that's the biggest thing, client service.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's very appreciated. I love that people are being more conscientious of their clients, and showing them the appreciation and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
How important was Atlantic Fashion Week for you in the last few years of your business?
Yeah, so I was, the first year of registering my business, which was February of 2018. I applied for Atlantic Fashion Week and showcased in the fall of 2018. I was very grateful, and I wouldn't have met you. And so I really feel it is important.
Mhm.
And because it connects individuals in that stream, whether it's through music, whether it's through like production, and we have hairstylists and photographers, and there are many mediums of art that are involved. And I got to meet so many wonderful people, and so those relationships, we may not be in touch all the time, but I feel that I have a community, a tribe of people that if I needed to reach out, I could, because as entrepreneurs, we're very siloed. We're busy, we have our head in, what we're doing. But I do know that there's these individuals out there that if I needed to make a call and not be shy about it, that I could, and that they would be here for me. So I really feel that it helped to acknowledge the brand on a different level, and highlight it to, you know, a small client base that I had. It exposed me to other makers and designers and other individuals within the industry. So it is very important. I'm not sure how that will look going forward, but I do believe that it definitely made a difference for my business. And so, you know, however that looks going forward in the future, I do encourage people to be involved and support it, because it is part of sharing our story and who we are here on the East Coast, and that we are amazing and we have wonderful talents that should be highlighted even more. So
Absolutely. And it's just so great to be part of a community because, like you said, when you're an entrepreneur, you're so alone.
you're so alone.
Realize there's all these other people alone, which makes you not so alone. It's really good.
Yeah, I agree.
What advice would you give, especially to young women who might be struggling to find their voice and have themselves heard creatively and professionally?
Yeah, so this is
It's not an easy question.
it's not an easy question. No matter your age,
Right.
young or old. So I'm 50 and I have just pivoted my life around in the last 2 years and totally stepped outside of my comfort zone and just taken a leap of faith. So there are many struggles with women in business and just women as a whole in having a voice. And I think it's really important to support one another, and empower each other, and not be afraid to speak, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we all have dreams and aspirations, and I think it's really important that you go after them because you're entitled to it.
Yeah.
And so I tell my daughter that every day: follow your heart, follow your passion, and you will be happy. I say it to my son too, but I really think for women, it's really important for them to know that. So, you know, don't let fear hold you back, you know, because yeah, don't let fear hold you back. It is scary. And I do scary things every day. So this interview,
Yes.
yeah, it's out of my comfort zone.
I feel you.
But you're making me feel great.
Oh, good.
So we do things every day that are hard, but it's important to step outside of those comfort zones and trust yourself, and just go for it. And the worst that can happen is, well, you know, you might have, I don't know, maybe I'll say something grammatically incorrect. I'm not sure, but the thing is it really doesn't matter. You've tried your best, and ask for help is another thing. Ask for help. As women, we have a hard time doing that, and I'm still learning that at 50 years old. It's okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
So
That's great advice. So smart, so wise. That's definitely a problem. We never ask for help.
Yeah.
So hard for us. So yeah, I feel that all the way to my core.
Yeah.
What pitfalls would you tell new designers to completely avoid? Like what would you suggest new designers start to do immediately? So basically say, I should never have done this, so don't do this. Or this was one of the most amazing things I've ever done, so hurry up and do this.
Well, the one of the things is, again, when an opportunity presents itself, the universe has put it in front of you. So even when they're all coming, so this month there's a whole bunch coming at me, and I'm like, holy, who? But I just have to say, sure. And so be open to anything and try it. And then as far as things, you know, with regards to the business itself, it was really important for me early on to establish certain things, a foundation for the business. So I incorporated the business immediately. When registering the business, that is a whole another thing. Registering the company and having this great idea for a name and logo. Well, you can have a wonderful idea, but until you get that registered, I hit 4 times I was rejected with my business name, you know, because I didn't realize that I was up against an international company. And so, and then comes time to trademarking, you realize you have this wonderful business name and have created a logo. Oh, but guess what? You've now hit another low roadblock because you're up against another international designer. So it's really important to kind of make sure that you consult with the right people. An intellectual property lawyer. I have a great one if anyone wants to know her name. And you know, so seeking out those individuals that is their wheelhouse, and recognizing that it's okay that you can't do everything, right? So accepting that and letting go, and enlisting in the people that are good at those things. So having a marketing firm help you, having legal consult, having an accountant that can help you, so that you can focus on the designing and the building of your line and your product and your business, where you have your strengths. So find, you know, wherever your strengths are, focus on that. And when you can, unload those other things, and so that you can still keep growing and building your business, because we can't do it all.
No, we cannot.
Even with a cape, we can't do it all.
It's the truth. It's the truth. Wow. Thank you, Tabitha. This was fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today. Special, amazing thank you to TABITHA CO. And thank you to everyone who's tuning in today for the East Coast Fashion Summit. Everyone,
thank you for having me, Cindy. And thank you everyone for tuning in. It was a pleasure to be here today.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye.